Salutations and welcome back to Don't Misquote Me, the podcast. Today we're going to get into a very hot topic, and not for the reasons of gossip necessarily, but to be able to dissect this because it's something that we see going on in our community way too much. So today I want to discuss the baby and Dani Leigh situation. So earlier I seen a few blogs speaking about the baby basically putting Dani Leigh out at about, I want to say, 3 a.m. approximately. Now, please forgive me if I get any of the details wrong, but just in general, I want to cover the situation because the climate of baby daddy, baby mama culture is absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd and it's very, very toxic. And in the midst of this toxicity, we see it being normalized, and Black women get the flack the most for it. However, this is all cultures now. This is becoming culturally acceptable, most especially here in the United States. So when I heard about the baby situation, now it wasn't surprising to me because Dani Leigh in the past, I can't say for certain that I know that the Yellow Bone is what he wants song that she put out was anything in reference to his other child's mother. However, just knowing the position of the narcissist and how the new supply usually reacts, because the baby, in my opinion, is a narcissist. He's not narcissistic. He is a narcissist, from my understanding. Now, obviously, I do not have the ability to diagnose him with narcissistic personality disorder. I'm only using discernment to pretty much look at the climate and gauge it for what it is. So, in regards to the baby being a narcissist, or just even if we don't want to call him a narcissist, but being a very toxic person, and knowing that a part of this game that they play, and I'm going to speak about Black men because on this channel, that's what we stick to: the Black woman, the Black child, and the Black man for the most part. Triangulation is something that they use very often, and not just of course not just men, but most especially men. Is one of the biggest weapon they use against women, to triangulate them with one another, make them fight with one another, tell this one this thing and tell this other one this thing, or be sleeping with this one here and mixing the energy with the other one over there. So I wasn't surprised by this outcome. After having someone like Dani Leigh, you have the preferences of Black men, or you have these preferences, right? So in general, the general preference, or the white man has made his woman the standard of beauty. So that blonde hair, blue eyed, of course there's different variations, but the blonde hair, blue eye is what the white man has set the standard of beauty to, right? And then on the side of that, you have in the Black community, you have, I want to say biracial. You can be biracial or light skin. That would be what the Black community upholds as the standard of beauty. Now, obviously, this is from years of programming. This has roots in slavery, and it has roots in domination, and why, and how the white man is able to keep this type of control over all aspects. People think it's only in dating and it's only in beauty. No, it has a profound impact on every aspect of life, right? So you have someone like Dani Leigh walking around knowing that, normally men lust after that type of woman. Normally, Black men will put that type of woman over women that who are darker, who are brown, who don't have close proximity to that type of beauty standard. So she used that, and like I said, I can't be sure if it was in regards to the other child's mother, but when she made that song "Yellow Bone Is What He Likes," whatever it was called, it was a taunting song. It was taunting. It was basically putting her in a position of this like falsified superiority, upholding those type of colorist views within herself. So to see these series of events where she spent her pregnancy alone, which no one deserves that. No child deserves to be born into a situation like that. So it's definitely not something that I would laugh at. However, I'm not surprised she ended up in the situation where she had her baby alone, and I'm not surprised she ended up in a situation where she's being put out or being told to get out at 3 a.m. With the child. And not just that, but being made to be the aggressor on live, because a lot of people viewed her as the aggressor. A lot of people are saying, well, he didn't want you around, you knew the situation, why are you in that situation? I do not believe that accountability should be taken away from her. Absolutely not at all. However, I think it's very interesting how much both women and men, because it's not just men, both women and men give men a pass for these type of behaviors. Now, with that being said, like I said, I'm not surprised she's in the situation that she's in, because karma is real. What goes around does come back around. You do reap what you sow. Okay? However, just looking at the different conversations people are having around it is very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Now, Dani Leigh I looked it up, and she's 26 years old. And another thing I want to point out very quickly is that people underestimate the fact that psychologically, until you are 25, your frontal lobe is not fully developed, and that doesn't mean that at 25 your frontal lobe is developing, your reasoning and everything is intact. It means at the very least that's how long it takes. And so because a lot of people are rushed to grow up, especially in the Black community, they're rushed to grow up, they underestimate that the decisions you make before 25, majority of them you will come to regret. The larger decisions that are very impactful on you will come to either regret them, or you will see the flaw in your thinking at least. So when it comes to something like that, and we're dealing with this constant baby mama, baby daddy stuff, another thing I want to point out about these situations is come on, ladies, come on, sisters, come on. This is another thing, and people call it internalized misogyny, call it what you want. This thing where women think, oh, I can bring out a different outcome out of him. Oh, he did that with you, but he's not going to do that with me. Or, oh, I'm superior because... Stop the madness. Stop the madness. A person's patterns are a person's patterns. Patterns are hard to break. It takes 21 days at the very least to create or formulate a new habit, and that is with consistency and dedication. A person's not just going to break their pattern because you're light skinned, because you're white, because you're biracial, because you're this or you're that. A person's pattern takes real psychological work, real mental and emotional effort and physical exertion to change. Becoming baby mama number 3, becoming baby mama number 4, number 5, and sometimes even becoming baby mama number 2. Unacceptable. You have a whole bunch of men running around here talking about why they don't date single mothers, this, that, and the third. And instead of complaining about what they're saying, women, if you don't have any children, young women, if you're in your 20s, there's no need you should become an additional baby mama of a man. There's no need for us to do that. It is a red flag. It's one thing if, okay, his first situation didn't work out, but he's committed to you. He's providing a stable situation for you guys. You guys are making solid plans. You get married. You do what you have to do. And I'm not in no way saying marry before you carry is going to solve the problem, because there's a bunch of people who marry before you carry. But it is important to have the discernment and to wait and be honest about the red flags we see. And also build our own selves up in a state of integrity and with self-esteem that won't allow us to allow those type of behaviors to overtake us. You're not special. You're not the one. When a person has shown you a pattern, baby mama number 3, number 4, come on. And he's married, especially when he hasn't married none of these women. Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And people will say, oh, not everybody wants to get married, marriages, first of all, every marriage is not solid, because there's people who get married when they already find out they have a baby on the way. There's people who get married out of spite, to spite another person. We're not talking about those marriages. We're talking about solid foundation. We're talking about moving into things with discernment. We're talking about taking heed and not rushing to have someone or be with someone or attach yourself to someone. And one thing we have to do as young women in our 20s, we need to freaking tighten up. We need to tighten up. We should not be becoming a victim no one should spend their pregnancy alone. No one should put a child in the type of position to be put out in the middle of the night for these men to do the things that they do. And it's not to put all the blame on us, but we take almost all of the risk sexually. That's why there's no reason we should be intimate with these men. If you're not worth commitment, if we're in such a climate where it's hookup culture, whatever, listen, you got one option or the other. You either stick to your guns and hold yourself in a certain esteem and spiritually protect your womb, or you end up in situations like this, whether it's 1 year later, 2 years later, it always folds. Nothing is worse than being in your 20s and having a man pollute your womb. See you and your child as nothingness. A lot of these men put up a front. You got the ones who I respect the ones who run away more than the one that try to act like they're such a good father, when in reality, they're demons. Controlling demons. They project this negative energy not only on the women, but on their children. And women have such a low standard for what a father is or what a father should be. You have so many women in their lives enabling them and standing by them and cheering them on. And a lot of times these women, especially their mothers and the older women, they want you to go through what they went through. They want you to go through misery they went through. They don't see a problem with these things. And at the end of the day, it's going to be single mothers or this, single mothers or that. All the fingers will be pointed at you. Ladies, you don't get any brownie points for beefing with another woman over a man. Because a man who truly loves you, he aims to protect you. And a part of protecting you is keeping you away from useless drama, purposeless drama. Because if you're involved with drama with another woman, you don't know what that other woman is going to do. You don't know if she's going to take things too far and attack you. So a man who really wants to protect you, especially when it comes to dealing with women he's had children with, if he doesn't have respect for her, to at the very least uphold a level of respect to the point where those things aren't happening. I'm not saying he can stop another woman from being malicious. I'm not saying he can stop another woman from being vindictive or any of those things, but he's going to aim to protect you. He's not going to have you going back and forth, because he could put your life in danger and his life in danger. And as a matter of fact, when you're dealing with a man who actually cares for his children, he's not going to let you disrespect his child's mother, not because of the child's mother per se, but because dealing with certain situations, you could put that man in jeopardy when it comes to custody and things of that nature, when it comes to drama, when it comes to defamation of character, when it comes to any type of threats that you may be sending towards the other child's parent. And these are the things that women, you need to pick up on this, because I'm not going to go in on the baby. I'm not going to really talk too much about him, because I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised anymore. I had this utopian view of black love, or what black love could be. I had this utopian view of black women and men being kings and queens, and all those things. I've been humbled, I've been corrected, and I've been taken out of my naivety, because that's not the case, man. We're dealing with trauma. We're dealing with years and years of trauma, beyond 400 years of trauma. We're dealing with repetitive generational cycles. We're dealing with narcissistic abuse as a collective, even as black people. The impacts of slavery really took off after slavery. And these are the things we're seeing today. So don't ever put yourself in the position of beef with another woman over a man. And when a man shows you who he is, you need to believe him. There's no reason you should be sitting up with a man in his home at all. Whether you want your child to be amongst the father or not, which I understand when a baby is an infant, it's a lot more different. But let him come and visit at your place. You should have some type of place. You should have your own security and things secured for you, because she's not the average woman anymore. She's gotten enough to put some things aside. I know that the music industry isn't what it's all cracked up to be, and she's not super popular, but baby, you have enough. You have more than the average woman, and the average woman is making things shake. I understand postpartum, but you see, when we don't really take into consideration that a person's patterns is who they are, we put ourselves in dangerous situations. And when you are pregnant, you're your most vulnerable. And anybody that'll leave you for dead when you're most vulnerable, that's not somebody you can ever count on. That's an enemy. And I don't care when you have children with people anymore, because a lot of times these children end up in so much dysfunction, because especially when you're dealing with a narcissist, they are nothing but a fraud towards their own children. They're nothing but a fraud. So with that being said, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the baby mama, baby daddy culture is stupid. And on both sides, because men will make it seem like, single mothers, everything is blamed on the black woman. You know why? Because the black man has checked out. He lives in some type of illusionary world where he thinks, okay, if you just leave the black woman alone, all our problems will be solved. But if you look at the rates between them and other women, the marriage divorce rates is much higher. When you look at single motherhood increasing in other communities, it's because of these biracial babies. And I'm not saying that to throw shade at the black men. I'm saying that to really point out to the black woman that, listen, there's nothing you can say, there's nothing you can do. You need to let black men go where they want to go and do what they want to do elsewhere. And we need to protect the black woman and child. Now, when it comes to Dani Leigh, that's not necessarily all inclusive in our culture. She's not, whatever she's biracial, mixed, I'm not getting into all that. But just for sake of the channel and to use this, it doesn't matter if you're a preference, man. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. And what I want to say to women who aren't that preference, these are the things you need to look at and not just throw stones, but you need to look at this and really see that it does not matter. Those superficial things do not matter, and you need to uphold your own self-esteem. You need to have standards for yourself, what you will and won't accept, and you do not need to bend on them. You do not need to be out here with sneaky link culture, baby mama culture. Even if you're not aiming for that, even if you're the type of person who likes to brag about getting an abortion, I ain't having a man's baby. Why put yourself through any of that trauma? Why? We need to tighten up as women, because nobody else is going to protect us. When you're out here being stalked, when you're out here being doxxed, when you're out here being attacked, no one's coming to our rescue. No one's coming to our rescue. Trust me. So you need to start protecting your womb. You need to start protecting your womb at all costs. Don't rely on an abortion. Don't rely on plan B. Get out of this game. If a person's not willing to commit to you and take it far with you, to commit with you wholly and solely, provide a foundation and be honest and true, and I mean in the terms of you're working on yourself, they're working on themselves strategically, then don't do it. And I'm not talking about the women who are out here trying to get a bag. My content is not for that. I don't want to hear nothing about it. I don't care nothing about that. That has its own karma attached to it, and that stuff is based in delusion. A lot of people think their parents married for love, when in reality, your parents didn't marry for love. Your parents were married out of lust. Your parents married out of need for resources. A lot of those women were already doing that. I see a lot of Black women thinking, oh, I'm going for money, and you're going to end up with a narcissist and putting the child in harm's way. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I'm wrapping it up to say, protect your womb at all costs. Protect your womb at all costs. Stop dealing with these type of guys altogether. Stop letting them have access to you. You do not need to be intimate with them, and you need to take into account every single red flag. Don't let one slip. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, be well.